Greetings and welcome to another edition of Tech Tuesday presented by Delta Media Group, where we've always wondered, what does Freddy Krueger dream about? Right? I mean, I feel like it's got to be like unicorns and puppies and stuff, you know? Like that's the only thing that really would fit for me. So, today we are going to take a look at something that has been in the system for a while that we haven't taken a look at here in a while. So we're just kind of doing an updated video on it to take a look at it again. Or more like take a look at how it looks and how it works, how you get to it in DeltaNet 6. That is the listing display settings page. So what that page does is it allows you to define things like what listings show up on your My Listings page, a little bit about how listings show up on your website in general, as well as have some control over the listings or what listings appear on your featured listing section or your featured listing display on your homepage, assuming you have such a display. So to get to it, there are a few different ways. First off, we can just click up here on the settings cog at the top right. And now, to find our way to the listing display settings, I'm just going to type listing in this search settings, and here is listing display settings. Now know that you can also get to it by typing it up here in the quick actions, just like the other pages, and you'll find it in here as well. There we go. It was down a little ways, but we could type some more. There we go. That makes it a little bit easier for us. So either one will take me here. So from this page, we have, first off, the ability to add a mortgage link to the page. Or actually, starting back a little bit further, you have a few tiles up here at the top that link to some other related settings. So search display settings and quick search settings are also included up here. We've got some other videos that go over those, but we'll have updated the videos for those in DeltaNet 6 here soon. So those will be available also. So for now, we are already on this listing display settings page. So the first thing we have here is the ability to set up a mortgage link. What this does is allow you to set up a link that will show up in the mortgage calculator on your listing detail page. So you can see I've got a little logo in here that isn't really a logo. But what you would do is put in the URL that, basically the URL of your mortgage servicer page that you want this to link to. You will give the link a title. You can put a little caption under it if you want, and then you'll upload a logo for that mortgage company. Doing so will result in that showing up on your listing detail pages. So we'll just go ahead and go to my website here, and we'll just do a search. And here's a nice listing for us. We'll call this a land listing. And now if we scroll down a bit, you can see here in the mortgage calculator, we have a link where I have aptly named it mortgage stuff. But that would be our logo, and then this would be a button that links out to that mortgage website. And that's just whatever website I choose. So if I go in here and call this Apply Now would be a pretty common one. So we'll say Apply Now. And just so that we have a link that works, we'll make it go to YouTube, because who doesn't love going to YouTube? And we'll put a little caption in there. And now if I update that setting, and we take a look back at our detail page, refresh it here, we can see now we have a little caption under our mortgage logo. Just think of this as a logo. And our Apply Now button. And if I click on that, that would link me out to YouTube. One important thing to discern there is I clicked on it, it took me to YouTube, but it took me to YouTube in a new window. So we know that because that link is going to go out to a third-party site, we want it to open a new tab. That way the user doesn't leave your site. So it's always important whenever you set up a link on your site that goes out to a third party. All right, so back into the DeltaNet. That is how you set up your mortgage link. Now moving down, the next piece we have is the featured listing for your homepage section. So this specifically deals with what listings show up in the featured listing display on your homepage. So this is not your My Listings page. It's not a different featured listing section somewhere else. This is specifically for the display on the homepage. So by default, it will generally be set to show your listing. So it'll say My Listings here in this dropdown. But if I open that, I have choices for a wide variety of different listings I could point this at. We have My Listings and then company listings if necessary. So what that'll do is it'll show your listings, but if you don't have enough listings to fill out that section, so let's say your particular website template is showing 3 featured listings in that section and you only have 1, it'll show your featured listing, plus it'll fill out the remaining spots with company listings. You could show just all company listings overall. You can do your listings and then fill in with office listings if necessary. You can do just office listings. You can do all IDX listings. You can define specific listings based on MLS ID. You can do your listings but exclude certain MLS IDs. You can do your listings plus some specific listings based on MLS IDs, or you can turn that section off altogether. Now with each one of these settings, some new options will load up below, so especially with the MLS ID related ones. So if I say my listings plus some MLS IDs, you can see it opens up an MLS ID list down here, where I would just type in my listing MLS ID, put in a comma, and then I could just put in as many IDs as I need, all separated by commas. So that's how you set that up. Now, if you put in more than there are available sections, depending on your settings below, it will generally cycle through those. So, if you're showing 6 but you have 12 to find, then generally the system will pick a random 6 out of your list of 12 each time the page loads. So, moving down, we can also limit this to company-only listings. So this is particularly nice if you want to set this up to look at all IDX listings, or some specific MLS IDs, but limit it down to just these company listings. So it is just an additional way to limit it to company listings based on how you're defining it here. And the way I would point this out is, look at these settings in order. So if this is set to my listings, for example, or maybe a better example, if this is set to all company listings, as we move down, it is going to apply each of these settings to the pool established here. So this is creating a pool of all your company listings. Now if I say include team listings, this is going to say if you are a member of a team, it'll include all of your team members' listings in the display. Now, of course, if you're including all company listings, those are already going to be in that pool. But if you were showing just your listings and check that option, it would show your listings plus team listings. So moving on, if I want to look at all company listings but limited to a specific market, I can put those market names here, and that can be a city name. So if I type in Canton, you can see it brings up an autocompleter and I can select it. I can put in a zip code here and it'll pick up that that's a zip code. So I can add a number of markets that way. So I would add one here, and then if I want to add an additional one, so we'll do Canton, Ohio. Now we'll add another one. Say I want to do Akron also. Akron, Ohio. So I can continually add markets. And then what it'll do is take my pool that I've defined up here and further restrict it based on the markets that I chose here. So at this point, I'm looking at only company listings that are within Canton or Akron. Now next, we can define the status. So if I want only active listings to show up there, I can uncheck those boxes, and that'll limit it to this pool to just Akron list or just active listings. But I can also choose any combination of these depending on what I want to show up there. I can do the price range, which again narrows my existing pool down further by price range. I can then narrow that down by property category. So if I don't want to show rentals, I want to show just residential, I can do that. Or I can also add in here commercial, land, there we go, there would be land, and any number of those that I'd like. Or if I leave this blank, it'll just include all categories. I can use this checkbox to limit this section to only displaying lakefront properties. So it'll take this pool defined above and then only show those lakefront properties that are within that pool. I can set this to auto load, and what that will do is instead of randomly sorting those out every time the page is refreshed, it would automatically resort all the listings there every 10 seconds by default, but whatever interval you choose here. So if you want to do every 5 seconds, it loads up new listings, every 10, every 20, whatever you choose. My only advice there would be users generally aren't hanging around on your homepage for a long period of time. So the auto load feature is something that most users really aren't going to experience when they go to your website. They're going to go there, maybe they'll see the featured listings. If they scroll down a bit, they'll click on one to go to the detail page and see more information on that listing. But usually they're not hanging around just watching those listings load up. They're just going to your site, running their search, and kind of going from there. So the next thing we can choose here is if the auto load setting is active, we can choose how it sorts the listings when it picks its set. So it can either sort them randomly or by price, ascending or descending within your featured listing section. Now the next thing you can do is you can apply a scale images setting, and what that'll try to do, or what the system will try to do when that's active, is sort of unify all of the listing images. So it's going to look at the primary image for every one of those listings. This will try to unify the size of those so that they're all displayed the same way there. How that affects your website is going to depend on what template you're using also, what website template or website theme you're using. The next piece we have here is whether or not you want your featured listings to show up differently on the Atlas search, so that would be the map search. So if they do go to the map search for your website, having this section or having this setting checked will make your listings appear differently on that search. Now this option would override the previous setting, would limit your map search to showing only your featured listings. And then the next setting we have here determines whether or not you show the featured banner or what listings you show the featured banner for on your website. So when you were on the search results page on your website, so that would be, for example, if I had just ran a search and I'm here, we can see this featured listing banner showing up on each of these listings. That is because I have the featured listing banner set to show on all company listings. Now I could limit that to just showing on my own, and then it won't show all the company's listings as featured, it'll just show yours as featured. Or lastly, you can remove that featured banner altogether if you don't want it to show up at all. And now next, for that featured listing section on the home page in certain templates, instead of showing featured listings when you don't have any, so for example, if I go up here and I set this to show just, here we are, went too far, I set it to show just my listings, and we'll go ahead and take those out because I don't want to include any additionals at this point. So we'll say just do my listings. If I don't have any listings, instead of filling in with company listings, it could show the text that shows up here. So you could put something there like, all of my listings have sold, contact me if you want to sell your listings now. So you would put some text in here and it would show in place of that featured listing section if there are no listings to show there. All right, so that does it for featured listings for the home page. So as we move down, our next option here is featured listings for your My Listings page. So if you have a My Listings page set up on your website, or rather a link to it set up, and you would set that up through the Pages system, and we've got other videos on that. But if you do have that set up, this determines what listings show up on that page. And you can see there are certainly less settings here. The featured type is much the same as above, so my listings when I have any, and company listings if I don't, all company listings. So those are all roughly the same kinds of settings, and you can also specify those by MLS ID. But the next thing you can do is, if you have my listings selected, just like the settings above, if you are on a team, you can include your team member listings as well. So you would just check that box to enable that, and that would show your listings plus your team's listings on your My Listings page. The next thing you can do is, just like above, you can narrow that section down to show only certain categories. So if you only wanted to show residential listings on your My Listings page instead of all of your listings, you can do that. And then next you can choose how you want that page to sort by default. And it just gives you options for price descending or price ascending. So you can either do it price low to high or price high to low, and that'll be the default sort when a user lands on that page. And then like the other sections here, you would just get your settings set up the way you want them here, and then click Update, and that'll save them. Now next we have Property Videos. So this determines whether you want to show all videos on your website or whether you want to only show the videos that are attached to your own listings. So for example, you could be at a company where a lot of agents add videos to their listings, and those embedded videos would show up on the detail page on their website and on the company website. If on your own website you only want to show those videos on your own listings, you would change this setting to show only my videos. And then hit Update, and it would show only on yours. Otherwise, it would show on every listing that we have a video for. Virtual tours works exactly the same way. So you can show all virtual tours, show them only on your listings, or there's an additional option where you can show them on company listings. So the difference here is that property videos aren't coming to us in the MLS data generally. So you're only going to have videos on company listings already. So if you show all, you're only showing them on company, and if you show only yours, you're only showing yours. With virtual tours, we often are getting those from the MLS, which means we could have virtual tours on IDX listings also. So show all virtual tours is going to show them on IDX listings, company listings, and your own listings, whereas showing them only on company listings shows on company, which includes yours. Or show only on yours means it's not going to show the virtual tour links on the company listings either. And that specifically refers to, if I go to a detail page here, we see I have a button for virtual tour here. That button would only show up on your listings if you have it set to the your listing setting. Now the next piece we have here is open houses. Now this pertains to a specific open house viewing page. That page is typically no longer used. However, if you are using the View Open Houses page, it can show a message when there are no active open houses on that page. Now the company will determine whether or not you can set your own message there. But you can see if I uncheck show the company message, I can put in a custom message and show mine instead. But again, this only pertains to a page that is typically not used anymore. As now, if you want to view open houses, you're generally going to do it through the regular results page here. So if I go to filters, we have only listings with upcoming open houses. So instead of going to a dedicated page, I would just filter this page down. Now you can also have links that go to that page with that filter already attached. Now the next piece, sold listings. You can put a limit on how old the sold listings or how long ago they would have had to have sold to show up on your website. So by default it's set to no limit, so it'll show every sold listing that we have data for if the user on your website chooses to see sold listings. However, if I only want to see the last year's worth, I can switch that to 1 year and it'll only show me the last year's worth of sold listings. We see the sold listings are normally displayed on the map. It seems like that's where they're the most useful, and they can give the customer a good indicator of what the market is currently like, what listings are selling for. However, if you're going back 3 years on that, what the market was doing 3 years ago might not really be indicative of what it looks like now. So that would be a good reason to go in here and limit these sold listings to maybe only showing the last year's worth, because that's going to be more representative of the actual market conditions today when a customer is in there looking at your website. And then to save that setting, you would just click on Update, and like all the others, and then you'd be set to go. So there you have it. That is the listing display settings page and all the things that you can do as far as how your listings display and how your featured listings display, and then how your My Listings display on your My Listings page. So there you have it. As always, thanks a lot for joining me. If you have any questions, concerns, or comments, feel free to give us a call or send an email into support@deltagroup.com, and we will help you out with whatever you need. So thanks a lot, and I will talk to you again next week.